Y'all, I've been thinking about this pretty much all day long. Uh, you know, I got up this morning and I went on Instagram to. I keep up with Hannah, my daughter, one of my daughters, through Instagram mostly, and I went on there to see what she'd posted. And the first thing I saw was Primetime Travelers, and it said Adam the Woo, rest in peace. And I thought, this is not real. This can't be. This can't be real. Something's wrong. But I know that they wouldn't joke about something like that. So then, of course, I commented what, and I went to the YouTube and began looking around, and I started seeing all the videos and all the things that people have posted, and you know, I started thinking about it. I thought about putting up a video, and then I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought that this is kind of our closure. This is where we share our memories and our thoughts about Adam, because he had this huge community and he was so nice. Y'all, he was so kind. And I wanted to tell the story again about how we met up with Adam the Woo. I started watching Adam so many years ago. I imagine it was more than 10 years ago I started watching Adam. And I remember the first video that I watched, I actually had watched a video by Jacob the Carpetbagger where he was in Maggie Valley. And he was going to some of the places that I had been in my younger years, and they were all closed down and abandoned. And after that video finished, a video popped up. It was the first one I ever watched by Adam, and it was the video where he climbed the incline railroad tracks up to Ghost Town in the Sky. And I thought that was a really cool video. And that was the first one I watched. And I began to watch his videos, and I went back and watched older stuff, and I've kept up with him from that point on. So I've been following Adam for a long time. So then Tim and I, we've always taken trips. We've always gone places just to see what was there. But we watched Adam, and he would come through these different small towns. And he came through Colquitt, Georgia. And one day we got up, and Tim said, let's go to Colquitt and let's see what Adam was showing us. So we went down there. And on the way home, I told Tim, I said, there's no reason why we can't do YouTube, because we love to take these trips anyway, and all we'll do is show people what we see. And we thought it over and decided how we'd get the money and how we'd buy that first camera, and that all came to pass. And Tim would always say, wouldn't it be cool if Adam would watch one of our videos and he'd say, hey, I like what y'all are doing, and he'd say, hey, I'd like to do a video with y'all. Tim said he'd call us up. I don't know how he was going to get our number, but Tim said he'll call us up and he'll say, hey, I want to do a video with y'all. And that's not exactly how it happened, but he did put out a message a few years ago around Christmas, around Christmas time, or Thanksgiving, and he said, I'm going to be coming up through Georgia and South Carolina and up that direction, and if there are any small YouTubers who'd like to get together, if y'all have anything you want me to see, just send me an instant message or direct message, I don't know, whatever you call them, on Instagram. So I prayed about it, and I did it. And I didn't tell anybody. I held my breath. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't even tell Tim about it to start with. And finally I told Tim, and then I told Hannah. I guess she's the only one I told before he got back in touch with me. But he got back in touch with me pretty quick, and he said, yeah, he'd love to meet up with us. So we made all the arrangements to meet up, and we got together, and we did that video together, and he was just such a nice guy. We had such a good time that day. And we think back on it often. We talk about it often. But I remember that day he asked how many subscribers we had. And Tim said 400. And I said 401. We got one more this morning. And he, offhandedly, Adam said, I bet you'll have a lot more tomorrow. So when we parted ways and he went back going on his trip and we came back home, he said, when are you going to put your video up? And I said, I will work on it tomorrow, and I'll put it up tomorrow night. And he said, well, I'm going to put mine up tomorrow morning. So he put his video up the next morning, and I immediately started seeing results. There was people came, subscribed, said Adam sent them. And my cousin, my mom and my cousin, my grandchildren came over to have lunch with me that day. I took a break from the work because it was hard. Y'all, it was hard for me to put a video together back then. I think it took me 4 or 5 hours to make that one video. And they all came over, and I took a break, and we had lunch. And while I was talking to my cousin, she looked and she said, "Tammy, you've got," and she named, like 800 subscribers. And I said, "You're kidding." So after she went home, she called me every so many subscribers. She'd call me and she'd let me know how many more people had subscribed. And finally, she said, "Tammy, how often do you want me to call you?" And I said, "Well, I'm busy. I'm working just, every 200 subscribers." And finally, she just quit calling. Y'all, we went from 400 subscribers to about 2,000. It changed basically everything. All of a sudden we had the hours, the watch time hours, and we had the amount of subscribers, and it changed our channel then. And we always have given Adam credit for that. I always thanked him for it. And every year we go down to the Chattahoochee River where we made our first video on the Riverwalk, and we always remember to thank Adam because he really helped us. And he answered my questions. I probably followed him around like a puppy dog that day because I had a million questions, and he knew it all. That's the way I felt. He knew it all. He'd been doing this YouTube thing, and he was successful then, and he understood. So I would ask him questions, and he answered everything. He answered every question I asked. Well, after that, ever since then, y'all, it's been 3, it may be 4. I think it's been 4 years since we did that video. And when I have a question, I would send him I'd send it to him, and he always answered my questions. The internet is a little bit like Dumbledore's pensieve. Sometimes it holds your memories. And I went back today into Instagram, and I looked through every conversation we've had, and every question I've asked, and every question he's answered. And the one piece of advice that he gave that I sincerely treasure is that he said to film whatever you want to, go where you want to, and do what you want to. That as long as you're having fun, that's what it's about. It's not about making money, it's about having fun. And it really breaks my heart to know that I won't get a notification tomorrow letting me know what video he uploaded tomorrow morning, and to know that that's not going to happen again. And I'm just going to end it right here. I want to say we love you all, we appreciate you all, and we're thankful for you, and we're thankful for all of you that Adam sent our way, and we're thankful for all of you that have stayed. And we're thankful that we got to meet Adam. And that was kind of like a dream come true. And I just want to say rest in peace. Fly high.